Hey everybody, I'm still here. Just want to let you know I cannot tell you how many videos I've actually done and just didn't publish them. Why? Because something always kept happening bigger. I tell you what we want to do for you now is go around the globe, let you know where it's flooding at. I mean, there's so many places flooding and there's so many places with earthquakes. We're just going to condense that into one video where you can know where everything's wet and what's shaking. All right, let's do this. Okay guys, there's so much going on that I want to actually start with the flood report just to give you an idea of what's going on the planet, because once we do that, then you can see the danger of some of these earthquakes that are going on. So not only do we have seismic activity going on, we have the flooding still going on in a lot of places right now. Now when we take a look, if I was to do like this and actually look at all the different flooding, look at all the floods. The other day, I actually counted 26 landslides that were reported within an hour, are either updated. In other words, they were updated because things were still falling. So if I go all the way up to these floods now, and I just go flood, just to give you an idea, I want you to see how many floods come up. And we already know that they're flooding in Saudi Arabia. We already know about that. That was an hour ago and it's being re-updated again 6 minutes ago, so it's still going on. Even in Brazil, an hour ago, it was reported initially and it's updated 7 minutes ago that it's still happening. An hour ago and then 8 minutes still happening. This is in Peru. Everything's being updated. 2 months ago, they had a flood in this particular area, but 8 minutes ago, it was just updated that they're still having a flood there. So right now you have so many floods going on, and it's not in just one location. We're talking about from all the way from Indonesia to Brazil to United States, even in Louisiana, Shreveport, Louisiana, currently right now has flooding. 9 hours ago it was initially reported and it was updated just an hour ago that it still is. Now in Texas, Port Arthur is actually experiencing flooding. An hour ago was initially reported, an hour ago it was actually, updated. So that was the initial update. Southern United States, there are floods. It's been doing it now for 3 days in certain areas. Floods, Central United States, Woodville, Florida, Byrdstown, Illinois. We have another place I've never heard of, is Bocalusa in Louisiana. You have Africa, Brazil, Mexico, Big Sur, Baja California. So you have all these places that are doing it. Now let's take a look at this. Now there's a reason why I want to show you this, because if I do the map like this, the circles get really large. You can see that they're all over the place. But let's go in a little bit. Now we have severe weather that's happening also right outside of Nassau. But now you can see where all the flooding is. Flooding in this area here, just north of Kentucky. Here this looks like Illinois. And then if we go in a little bit more, we see Louisiana, Mississippi. All of these places are in Tyler, look like Texas. All these places are flooding right now. And, I know we're not hearing a lot about it. At least I'm not hearing a lot about it. Idaho. And if we go down, it becomes like in patterns. In Mexico, they already have a lot of earthquakes going on along the shores, but they also have a lot of fires, and hopefully the fires are connected to all the different earthquakes that's happening, because we don't know what's in between the boundary lines and the different tectonic plates. We don't know if anything is coming up this volcanic in nature, because let's face it, this whole area is very, very volcanic. Okay, so we have fires going on. We have eruptions going on. Now, as we get past that general area, what we have are actual flooding again, all over the place. So you have all this flooding going on in all these different areas, all the way down. Now, another thing is when you get to Africa, you'll see the same pattern. Nothing but flooding. This little circle with the little water coming underneath, this is all flooding. Look at that. All of Africa is flooding. It may not be having earthquakes, but it's flooding. And this is why a lot of the pole shift people that read about how it's been predicted how the Earth is going to be moving. Africa is supposed to tilt, and certain parts are supposed to lower. And this is why so many people are concerned about the flooding that's going on, the ones that do talk about it. Now, if you go up north, you'll see that there is some flooding in London that's going on. It happened 3 days ago. Haven't had an update, so I don't know, maybe it's still existing up there. You have landslides and avalanches in Switzerland. And you still have a lot of flooding all over this way. Even though there's a lot of earthquakes. Now I'm going to show you the earthquake map in a few. Remember the stands. Okay, remember the stands and what you're looking at. Now this area here is actually China, but as you get over in this area, I want you to pay special attention to these areas here that you see that are flooding. And Saudi is still flooding. Okay. You also have India, parts of India that's flooding. Very few. Sri Lanka has some flooding going on, but not like the other places. Pakistan has a lot. Okay, Thailand, Cambodia, they actually have it. And it's mainly around the shore, if you can see in this particular area. Now they do have inside actual flooding within China inland in this area here. And we'll see what this monster is here. But as you can see, now keep in mind, this is the Indonesia area. This is where the volcanoes and all those earthquakes are happening right now. So it's also wet. So they have wet, and then they have earthquakes happening, volcanoes going off. They have so much stuff going on right now in that area, it's unbelievable. Australia's not having a lot of earthquakes, but it is starting to have a lot of flooding. So South Wales, Western Australia, Northern Territory, all in these areas here is all flooding, even in Queensland. Okay, now let's take a look at New Zealand. No, they're not flooding, but they have a whole lot of earthquakes happening in their area. Now let's take a look up. Is that tsunami? 9 hours ago. So are they still under warning? They got a warning, tsunami warning. This is what I love about this map. Okay. It's been issued. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii for Taiwan at April the 22nd, 1844. No tsunami is expected. Okay, repeat. It's not expected. Okay. But they did went ahead and made sure that they, got the information out there. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. But this is give you an idea of what's going on with the planet as far as how wet it is. Now let's go look into the earthquakes. Let's get into what's shaking out there. Okay, now let's take a look at the same places we were looking at that was wet and flooding are all shaking too. That's just a recipe for disaster. Now, you don't see any earthquakes that are happening on Africa, but yet, we know that that it's definitely flooding. Now, remember this area here? Now, since I've looked at this, they have more volcanoes that are actually erupting. All the red ones are erupting. All the red ones are erupting. And all the golden ones are on alert to erupt. So you have flooding going on in this area. You got earthquakes going on and volcanoes going off. I mean, what more can people be going through in this area? I mean, if we take a look at Japan, they've actually had quite a few earthquakes that have happened. A lot of them are actually small, relatively small. But the main one that we've seen is places like the Philippines. They are starting to have a lot of different earthquakes that are happening, and they're right on the the volcanoes that are actually going off, that are actually erupting, are right on the southern part, but they are starting to have some that are going under warning to erupt right here in this general area here in the Philippines. Now, let's make sure we don't forget about New Zealand. New Zealand is having a great deal of seismic activity that's happening on the North Island in the volcanic zone. Luckily, the Taupo volcano is not acting up, but the White's Island volcano is actually under observation now. It's under unrest to actually erupt. Now, a lot of their earthquakes have actually subsided. However, majority of them are still happening in the northern area, Northern Island. So that's something to keep an eye on because that's where all the volcanoes are. We just got six new earthquakes just came out of nowhere. So we'll keep an eye on New Zealand. And as we go up, we can see that Philippines, we already talked about the Philippines. And as we go up, we can talk about Japan is starting to get quite a few earthquakes going on. You can see them all along the shorelines. You can also see that Taiwan, and we want to make sure we talk about Taiwan. I don't know how many they're up to now, but they were up to 23 earthquakes that were actually over a 5. They've had 6s, they've had 5s. 5 hours ago, they had a 4.2. That's actually small, one of the smaller ones. 5.2 that actually happened 18 hours ago. Look like these are like doubled up together. 5.5 about 6 hours ago, and I mean they're big. 5.0 about 14 hours ago. A lot of these are right off the shore, but you do have some that are actually on land as well. So we need to look out for Taiwan. I remember previously it was this Taichung. It was that particular city that had it the last time, but now we have a new area that's actually getting slammed a lot with these different earthquakes. Now, as we go up to the Russian volcanoes, they are starting to go off now. They are located here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Japan. I'm sorry, I need to go back up a little bit more. Oh, well, let me not go so fast. Japan has how many? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. They have 4. They have 3 under unrest, 1 under alert to go, and they have 1 that's actually erupting already. So Japan actually has some volcanoes that are actually erupting. 1 is erupting, and hopefully the other ones won't. Okay. Now let's go ahead and keep going. Let's see, is there anything else we want to look at here? Let's see. Okay, the main thing we wanted to show you was what we were looking at. Let's see. What we were looking at as far as Taiwan. So we'll keep an eye on Taiwan because they really are getting slammed out there. And we don't know, hopefully they don't end up having bad weather as well. But as we go up, we can see the Russian volcanoes aren't doing too bad. Look like there's 2 that's actually erupting right now. 3 that are actually erupting. As we go along, we have to also give props to the people that are stationed out here. Hopefully you guys are okay. That's in Adak. I know there's Galena, there's Shimia, places like that. But Adak is right here within this particular chain of volcanoes. And right now they have 1 that's under unrest, and 2 under unrest, 3 under unrest, and 1 of them is might be actually about to go. Now Adak is the actual place where people are actually stationed. And look at that. That's exactly what island they're on, that those earthquakes are on. So I'll have to see. No, you know what? This is the bad thing about this map. Adak is right there, even though it's saying Adak is 58 kilometers away. So maybe it is 58 kilometers, but no, it's not where the guys are. Everybody's okay. All right, just want to check on everybody. Now they do have, if you know friends that are actually stationed in Anchorage, they are having earthquakes in Anchorage. They have had that. 4 days ago, they had a 3.6. That's not too far from there. This is where the general area where most of the people live at that are stationed at Anchorage over there at Elmendorf. Then places like Willow. But here's Anchorage right here, and it looks like Anchorage had 2.2 just an hour ago. So they are still having earthquakes right now. But look like we went around the globe. All I can say is, everybody, make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you at least have your disaster apps on. What's projected right now is a lot of places are actually starting to get a lot of rain. And not only that, a lot of crops have already been destroyed. Last night on April the 21st, we actually had our frost. It was not predicted. Okay, I take snapshots of the weather once a week, and it was not predicted like, well, actually, I did it at the beginning of the month. It was not predicted. I did it 2 weeks ago. It was not predicted on that particular day. At least it was not predicted on the weather, I'll put it that way. But it's been so warm out here in Missouri. What's happening is a lot of the plants had already budded, you know, and I've already been told by friends that know some of the farmers out here, crops have already been ruined in the Midwest already because it was so warm, and then all of a sudden the temperature dropped so cold, you know, and the plants were actually confused what season it was. So I don't think this has happened to all farmers, don't get me wrong, but some of the friends that I know that of people that have fruit trees say that some of the crops are already destroyed, and hopefully they're not. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be sure to get back on here a lot sooner than we did. We've made multiple videos and just never got them out because every time I looked up, it seemed like something else big happened. So we just wanted to make sure we at least get something out there this week for you guys and keep you well informed. Like, share, and subscribe. See you guys on the next video. Ciao.